Hello everyone, this is episode 22 of Here Comes the Pitch, a podcast about pitching story ideas. Today's guest, Chris Warmuth, will be pitching a horror video game idea called Bloodline. I would compare this idea to the video games Assassin's Creed and Castlevania. I'm your host, Derk Harron. Well, without further ado, here comes the pitch. Because it's stuff that I don't usually draw or paint, you know? Because I'm like, I'm not really into landscapes, but I showed it to like one of my friends, Jay. Mm-hmm. I showed one of them to him, and he was just like, "Dude, that's amazing! Like, I want it right now." And so, awesome. Like, he bought it, and I was just like, so that gives me like an extra bit of confidence, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm good at it." It's not necessarily like what I like to do, but it's art that sells, you know, and you know, it's always nice to sell art.
there are worse things in the world, yeah.
Yeah, you know, shit.
I just bought a piece of art.
Oh, awesome.
From Jim Ether.
Okay. Was that the one with it's you and your fiance? Yeah, that looked really cool. Yeah. It's a smaller piece too.
It's
right?
8 by 10.
8 by 10.
Actually, it's a good sized piece.
Oh, that's
and it was not expensive.
Oh, awesome.
Which was kind of neat. And I bought it kind of as a early wedding present for her.
Oh, that's nice. Because
it was kind of just comical, and I last night gave it to her. Well, this morning she saw it. I hung it. We have a water closet in our house, in our bedroom's bathroom. Okay. You know, a shitter with a door and a fart fan, right? And that's it. That's all that's in the room, right? Besides the business in the toilet. And so I hung it eye level in the middle of the night, like while she was sleeping. I hung it eye level opposite the toilet, right? Yeah. So she goes in there. She's gonna sit down. And early in the morning, like half asleep, it scared her. She liked it, but it startled her. Yeah. But that was fun. I think I got as much enjoyment out of it, just the whole process as she did receiving it. So, and the kids like it. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Kind of neat.
No. That's a great way to present it too.
Yeah, just unannounced. Just,
yeah.
Hey, that's a thing.
Like you're waking up to it, you know. That's awesome. No,
it's neat to wake up to stuff that wasn't in your life before, that maybe you wanted, maybe didn't want, but is a positive thing.
I think that can be that sums up my whole relationship with my wife. It's I feel like that. Meeting her woke me up, you know, creatively, cool, and you know, I was in a rut for a while, and so I'm glad that, you know, she got me out of that.
That's cool.
So I can relate on a higher level.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I did that.
Yeah. So you told me you got a story.
I got a badass idea.
Awesome. I'm excited.
See, it's this guy and his dog.
Okay.
And his friends, and they drive around in a van.
Okay.
Solving mysteries.
That I can think of a story that's kind of like that, but
no one's ever done this before. I'm kidding.
No.
I have a good idea.
Okay, all right.
And I don't know if it exists or not. I mean, I do play video games occasionally.
Okay, yeah.
Which is really neat to come into this store that your brother has. I've never been to One Up Games. I think it's amazing. I don't get out to Mesa too often.
Yeah,
but
I know you're
really, really cool.
Do you live out in where do you live? Phoenix, Scottsdale?
I was living in Sunny Slope, but I sold my house.
Right.
I bought a new house, and it's over on 19th and Baseline now.
Okay.
So I'm a little closer now.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
but I've never been out here. This is cool. So it's fitting that I have this idea. I want to share it with you. I've actually come up with only a couple of different things in my life that weren't like songs or poems or something like that that I thought were kind of neat. The first one was caffeinated cigarettes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like yellow, bright yellow like a highlighter, right?
Okay.
Called lightning rods. And the tagline would be "Wake up and smoke." Right? Yeah.
Did you smoke cigarettes?
I did for
For a while?
From the time I was 13 to the time I was 21.
Wow.
I smoked.
Okay. Well, at least you quit, though.
I didn't like being addicted to anything.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. I hate the idea of being addicted to anything.
Yeah.
My friend, the Big Nasty, said, never do a drug more than 2 days in a row.
Interesting.
And you'll never get addicted to it. Like, okay, that's good advice. Thank you. But I hated being addicted to anything or dependent on anything other than oxygen,
right,
water, food, sleep, the basic ingredients for human life.
Right.
And so I quit smoking with yoga and the patch.
Okay.
Right? And it took me a long time. But
you got there, man.
Yeah. And then I thought of this great idea called lightning rods. I also thought of an idea. It's a stretchy thing.
Okay.
That's like Velcro, and it's got pockets all over it.
All right.
Flat Bluetooth speakers you can slide in for pregnant mothers.
Okay.
To play
music.
Yeah, to play
or stories
or teach them French before they're born.
Right. No, that's interesting.
Call that the aquaphone.
Aquaphone.
The aquaphone, yeah.
Okay.
I remember being in the womb and hearing music.
Wow.
And my mom played me music when I was a little baby. And yeah. So I think
is that like your first memories? Is just hearing music that there was presence?
My first memories were being a ball of lightning and coming to Earth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you when did that come to you? When
it happened.
Yeah, but were you really young even when you had that memory or was it something that just kind of popped into your head oh wow, this is something that that did happen that
No, I might be crazy, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
You can't trust a biochemical construct like a human mind.
Right.
It's a fallible thing.
Well, my first memory, I told my mom and my dad, was that I was I just remember being in water. I remember swimming. Mm-hmm. I remember swimming to my dad and then back to my mom. And then they were oh my God, that's when we lived in Puerto Rico. You were this water baby, and we would go out into the pool, and then you would swim back and forth to us.
That's awesome.
And so they were just you remember that far back?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was probably maybe 2.
Yeah. And your parents don't expect you to hold on to anything.
Right.
I think when, I've never had kids of my own. My future wife has 3, but I remember, I met our youngest when she was 3 years old.
Oh.
And you don't expect her to hold on to any kind of memories, and she does, and it's weird. And it's wow, you remember that?
Yeah.
You remember pooping in the closet and not telling anybody? Weirdo. She's a weirdo. But
yeah.
So I remember that, and I think an aquaphone would be a cool Bluetooth speakers. You could play Slayer.
Yeah.
Teach your little baby Slayer. Before it's born, or something else.
Well,
Clown Posse.
They say that if they listen to heavy music while they're in the womb, then that's what puts them to sleep when later on when they're out of the womb.
She played classical music for me.
Okay.
Growing up, so I still dig it. I still throw on the classical channel when I'm driving my car sometimes.
Yeah.
But those are the 2 things I invented. There was another one that I wanted to build for. I have a friend that has like debilitating OCD.
Oh, wow.
And I won't say his name, but but he's a good friend, and I care about him, and he's a good dude. He's a solid dude. And I had him come over and house sit for me one time, and I came back and I was like, "How was it?" And he was like, "Oh man, I got stuck in your shower for like 7 hours," and I was like, "Okay." What's the water bill gonna look like? You know?
Oh.
So I want to build him a timer. I still haven't figured out how to do it. I want to build him a timer for his home that shuts that shit off.
Yeah.
After an hour or whatever. You know, I don't know.
So he doesn't focus on something.
So he doesn't get trapped in his shower.
Right.
Because that's his problem. Is he gets like stuck. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just terrible. It's like I can't imagine that kind of nightmare to have to live through. And I thought, what if you had a timer attached to your water valve or something that shut it off, and it was off for an hour, and you could only turn it on in emergencies if you phoned a friend, like called a sponsor or something like that, and like they punched in a code on an app or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Big stuff. But as far as like my pitch for you today, right?
Okay.
Taking the long way around. I've come up with a video game, right?
Okay.
That I think would be pretty cool. I like the open sandbox kind of video games, you know, like those are kind of neat.
Like, yeah, where you can just travel wherever.
Yeah. And some games where you can travel wherever, but it's going to be too hard to go to certain places, right?
Right.
Well, what about a video game where you start out? It's kind of a time game, right? Oh, the levels are eras.
Okay.
Right, and you start out in like the early days, like maybe medieval times, maybe earlier. I don't know yet. As a vampire hunter.
Interesting.
And you're hunting vampires, and you can kind of I don't know the mechanisms that would like kind of unlock the rest of the board as you go.
Okay.
But like defeating like a certain clan of vampires or a specific person in that clan lets you move on to like the next era.
Okay.
Right? And ultimately you're trying to kill the head guy, right?
Right.
But what if, and so like each era you play like a descendant, right, of the vampire hunter, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But what if at any point in the game you could be turned
into a vampire.
Into a vampire, and now you have a choice to face. Do you try and wipe out the family that was hunting you, or do you try to save yourself and do that by killing the main guy?
Right.
So like, I don't know how it would work. I think it would be like one of those like kind of open world, good, bad kind of games,
Man, I get what you're saying, because it's like you're kind of you're on the light, you're a human, fighting these vampires, and then at any point you could be changed, and and now you have to kind of make that decision of like, do I continue my my reign of killing these vampires, like, because you could be a vampire killing other vampires, and then trying to get to that head vampire, and don't they say that like if you kill the head vampire, then like you're free. Right. You can become human again, or at least your life, you can rest finally.
Right. Which would be cool. But as a vampire hunter,
right,
you don't have superpowers.
Right.
You have crossbow,
right,
holy water,
right,
garlic, the standard. I'm not trying to reinvent vampires or make them. There's no fast zombies in this game. It's just vampires.
Okay.
It is that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but you're a vampire hunter. Traps. A wooden sword. Why would you have that? Well, because you can stake them.
Right.
And
then maybe, as you go further into the game, and then also, while you're also going through the different eras,
right.
Your weapons get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well.
Right.
Which
modern.
Yeah. And that's interesting, too, right. Is that, it's not necessarily like you're leveling up your weapons. It's just that you're in a new era where you have better weapons.
Better technology.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep. And as far as the vampire side of it goes, they're much more powerful, but they have the standard weaknesses. They can't attack you at your base, right? Like if you have a base in the game.
Right.
Because they have to be invited in.
Right.
No reflection. I don't know how that would play in the game, but I think you could build a really cool level where that's a thing, right?
Yeah. Like a House of Mirrors or something like that.
Mind control. Flight. Changing to animals, right?
Right.
Only out at night. That's because you have to have a balance, right?
Right.
If the vampire hunter is just some dude, right? But then do you have during the day, because you have time in this world,
right?
If you're a vampire, do you play as your what do they call them? Familiar, right? The guy you hypnotize to watch you while you sleep.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Kind of like your Igor or whatever.
And you're weakened state, right? You're because he's a human, right? That's just been hypnotized to do the master's bidding, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would
So you wouldn't be a vampire. You'd be just the vampires
during the day.
Okay, during the day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So while at night you have this huge advantage,
right?
But during the day, not so much. So it balances the game out a little bit,
What's also interesting too is that, if you end up becoming a vampire, then when you get to other levels and you're just that person. You're not descendants anymore. You're just that. Because you're living
that
forever.
guy.
You're just that vampire forever.
You're that dude.
Yeah. So, and I could almost see it where, the descendant or whatever, or once you get to the next level, as the human, who's to say that he's really put in the time and effort to be the best vampire hunter. Maybe that could be a harder level, because he's this fat guy that never lived up to what he was supposed to be.
Right. So do you have to regenerate character stats every era then?
Yeah.
I think I would streamline it to make it no, the family that has invested, they take it very seriously.
Okay.
You're only playing as a character who qualified as okay, you're good enough, Roy. You can go do the thing. Your brother's staying home.
Yeah,
he sucks.
Yeah, your brother Bill just doesn't cut it as a vampire hunter.
But you could have dames in it that get kidnapped. Rescue missions. You could have there's a few things like that. That story isn't just a movie or a book or a comic book.
Right.
I think there's some cool things that you could do with it.
Yeah.
That would make it a full game.
Right.
I don't know.
One thing too about players and stuff like that. They're completionists. They're sometimes that also gives the player the challenge of not becoming a vampire. And if you do, then you kind of got to start over, or at least start over to like the last save spot or something like that. Or maybe once you become a vampire, you can never go back, like unless you want to go all the way back.
Well, I was thinking about that. I was thinking like, okay, if you're a vampire hunter, you get 40% through the game, right?
Right.
Like say the Cold War era.
Okay.
Vampire hunter, and you get changed,
right?
You get to decide, okay. I think it wouldn't. I don't think it would have to be a mechanics thing. I think you could leave it up to the player. Do they join the dark side of the night and try to wipe out the families of hunters that are like, oh, you took our main guy, our main vampire hunter, so now all these others are coming out of the woodwork, and the challenge is upped, right?
Oh, interesting.
Like, not just one family's hunting you now. Now they've got, the Clampetts and the McCoys and the Hatfields are coming for you, bud.
Yeah.
So, to make it more challenging, because as a vampire character, you're going to have these huge advantages, right?
Right.
So you have to have... I like games that are well-balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I could make a game that's well-balanced, but I always appreciate that.
Right. Well, I like that idea because it gives you more options once you become a vampire. What would be interesting is like maybe as a human, as just a vampire hunter, what if you had the option of becoming a familiar or something like that, where you're a human who's working on the side of the vampires. And so, like, you could still be human and bad, in a sense.
Okay.
Because, it's just, when you said that, like, it's like, oh, well, it's almost better to be a vampire, because, like, you get other options.
Right.
Like, you could kill vampire hunters, or you could kill vampires and just try to kill as many vampires till you get to the master, the head vampire, and then release yourself from,
Or you could choose to wipe out the families that have been hunting, your kind for millennia. Right?
Yeah.
Although I don't know if you're super invested as a vampire hunter, if you got turned into a vampire, how willing would you be to become, an evil piece of shit and go wipe everybody out? I don't know if that might be a tough sell.
Yeah. Or maybe there's that conflict in your mind, like it's a psychological thing that like where now the head vampire is in your mind and like tells you to be a part of the dark side like that, like you're constantly because like you also have the bloodlust.
That's right. You have to. There you go. You have to feed.
Yeah. So even though like you want to kill vampires, you have to feed on humans.
Mm-hmm. So becoming a vampire, maybe the game gets even more hard.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Do you like Dark Souls?
You'd have to ask my brother. Like, my brother's here now, and like I
know, man. It's like you're pitching a video game, and I missed it.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I think you should join us, man.
It's real simple. You get to be a kitty cat. It's a simulation. No, it's open world thing, right? And like with time, day and night, right? And you start out as a vampire hunter in like the way back in medieval times, maybe.
Right. It's kind of like Castlevania. Okay.
Or maybe earlier. Who knows? But the levels are eras, right? And you play as a descendant of that vampire hunter. But you can get turned at any point in the game into a vampire, and now you have those mechanics, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, I was hearing all that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to yell because I'm far away.
Yeah. I'm turning the mic to my brother now.
There's certain things you could do to simplify it. You can make the game episodic, where like chapter 1, you were talking about I even heard you saying some names from families. Like that could be chapter 1, and it could be in this time era.
Yep.
Then it jumps ahead, chapter 2, 200 years.
Yep.
Now you have new characters, But you could do a thing like where when you go into episode 1, do you choose to be the monster hunter? Do you choose to be the vampire? Or do you choose 2 bridging stories?
Okay.
So what the third one is, you start, say, as the vampire hunter, but if you take enough damage, or if you die in the game and you have to continue, now you are going to be a vampire.
Right.
There's some permanence in that. There's some, like, your decisions have real consequences. That's the other thing I like about games that, like have that kind of, what are the scales
the weird
of,
things,
like...
too, that you could play with that is the people that wouldn't have known you as a human, now seeing you as a vampire, the interactions would be crazy. Because then you get almost like a Bioshock element to where if you have to feed, do you feed on your friends and family?
Oh, fun.
Or are you going after other people?
Strangers.
Exactly. But also at the same time,
because it would be easier to feed on your
family might have a way of curing you from being a vampire, not just the stake. Because if you can be changed into a vampire to make the game really come back and be whole, there has to be a way to go back.
Right. Well, we were talking about killing the head vampire as like the pinnacle of the end of the game, but
so it's kind of like if you do become a vampire, it's going to be much harder to finish the game. To get back to be a human. The only problem is that you'll only be a human at the end, because I'm guessing that the lead vampire would be your final boss.
Right. Well,
so you could have to play the whole game as a vampire.
Exactly.
And I would think that you would want the ability to go back and forth.
Okay.
Because that's something I've never seen. Like, that would be really interesting to me, to be like, whoa, so I can at any time pretty much jump between both these stories.
I would say...
almost like GTA 5.
I like that idea, but I would say you have to earn it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You can't just, the level's over and now you get to be...
But are you thinking of this game as like a 60-hour like RPG like quest?
A big
or
one,
something you can
like a big
3
one,
hours?
No, a big one.
Because I'm playing games like The Messenger right now. You can beat that game in like 6 hours, and then it unlocks like a harder mode, which the game's hard. It's like Ninja Gaiden. But I want it to be harder, so... Because then it really feels like an NES game.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I was interested. Vampire stuff, besides like Devil May Cry, is kind of like the closest thing, but Dante's not really a vampire. He's a vampire hunter, I guess, but he's a demon hunter, mostly. Yeah.
There isn't too many vampire games.
I'm trying to think, is there a game called... based off of that anime, Vampire Hunter, like...
Vampire Hunter D?
Yeah.
I think it's sitting in your case here.
That's D.
Oh,
that's,
okay.
D for the PlayStation. That's a Dracula game. Yeah, it is Dracula based. We beat that game. It's really interesting.
But, no, I just like...
Do you have a name for it?
Nope.
And then we'll develop that. Like when about the time when I release this episode, we'll kind of figure that out together.
Do you have anything like percolating?
No idea. No idea.
It's almost like a better version, like because you're doing the Descendants, almost like an Assassin's Creed type of thing, because they always jump throughout the periods. Yeah. There's a game called Castlevania Bloodlines, and this game should just be called Bloodlines, because it's following the Descendants.
Right.
And
the blood is vampires.
Vampire. Yeah. You could just, boom, you put Bloodlines on a video game, I can market that. See that shit on Switch.
The thing that came to me was like vein. Like a blood vein. Like where,
it's blood related.
It's blood related.
Yeah. Oh, there was a game on PS2?
You could call it
where
like
you were
Eternal
like
Night, though, too.
Yeah, something, you could kind of go Twilight with it, almost.
Is that Twilight?
No. Just like kind of that emo type of, goth, Eternal Night.
Never sells.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a title has a lot to do with selling the story or game, But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Bloodlines is good. Like, I like Bloodlines.
I mean,
that's cool.
There's a Castlevania took it, but there's no game just called Bloodlines.
Yeah, there's a Netflix television series that's called Bloodline. But that's the only thing I can think of.
It's not a bad series.
Yeah, I like Bloodline.
Yeah.
It got really strange at the end.
I didn't see the second season. I haven't seen it yet.
I think there's a third season, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The third season's actually shorter, and that's where it just gets so weird. Like, you're just like, because the stakes are so high, I understand why they went the way they did, but, like, it just gets weird. But it's good. I liked it. I didn't know how they would end it. Like, it just gets to the point where you're just like, all these characters should fucking die.
They all suck.
They all suck. This is a terrible family.
Everyone's terrible.
They all have, like, terrible backstories. But it was interesting kind of how they did it, I guess. It has kind of like a Lost ending where you're just like, I guess that's how you can end it, you know?
You got bored there, eh?
Well, I understood what was happening was that, like, all their actors in that show were starting to get pretty famous, and it's like, hey, let's show us some green, and it's like, well, this series isn't that popular. It's
this is what we got.
And then they were like, well, we're gonna end it. Sorry, we're pulling funding on it. So it's like, well, give us a way to wrap it up, and they did. They wrapped it up somehow.
Do you think that game would be a better game than you just get to be an animal of your choosing?
Like, just where you can choose to be an elephant.
I'm an elephant.
I'm an elephant. I do elephant stuff.
Yeah.
I like the idea of either vampire hunter or vampire, and which, wherever you want to go with that version of yourself is up to you. I like that really changes kind of the perspective of the game. It changes the limitations of the characters. I like this idea of the familiar, where if you are the vampire, you're only allowed to come out at night, and so you
have huge bonuses, but during the day,
you're just this human that's possessed.
What do you do during the day?
You sleep and you play as the familiar.
The familiar
defends the
like the coffin. He's kind
Renfield.
He's the Renfield.
The Renfield.
Yeah, Renfield. I said Igor, and I was like, that's not Igor.
That's Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's Frankenstein.
And depending on your cloud as a vampire, you could have a really badass familiar, or the dude could kind of suck.
Yeah. Ooh, and that would be interesting too. Is if you're the vampire hunter, like, you need to sleep at some point, so you have to, like, somehow get to a safe spot or something like that.
See, that's awesome. Now I'm like freaking thinking about Renfield. You could go out and you could GTA 5 this again.
Yeah.
You could go out and find, like, horse so that he can eat.
Yeah.
He wakes up. Plus,
or you track down the vampire hunters,
and
then
are coming from, like, descendants of families, they probably have legions.
Right.
And Renfield almost has to probably be like the general by day, like recruiting, training, getting your armies ready. Like, if this is a big game, like big ass battles.
Big game.
Or or he's kind of like setting down the breadcrumbs for the vampire later on. Like,
but how do you see the combat? Like, is it more like a Final Fantasy 15? Is it like a Dynasty Warriors, a Devil May Cry?
Like hack and slash?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, like...
you said Dark Souls. You mentioned that.
Like
would it be more Dark Soul-y?
I haven't played Bloodline yet. But I heard it was like a hard...
See, I'm waiting for the Dark Souls remastered, like, just because I really haven't played them enough, and I really want to. But I'm just waiting for that, and I'm just going to go, like, straight through.
They're really hard games.
The Dark Soul games?
See, what I played of it wasn't... It was the frustration of dying, and then, yes, if you can get back to your checkpoint, you can... you just have to learn to parry, and you have to learn to run from fights.
Right.
Like, you're not a badass. Not yet. Have patience.
That's humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, be humble.
Yeah. Know when to fight and not fight.
Yeah, it's like you don't run up to the 300-pound guy at the bar and like start a fight with him. It's like,
another thing that you could do with a game like that is maybe you don't have the crossover. You start as a vampire hunter, you're going to play through the eras as that. If you start as the vampire, maybe you're the head vampire, and you get to royally, just cause havoc and really go for it.
That's interesting. If you play as the head vampire,
you pick which one. What side are you on? Maybe there isn't a crossover. I don't know.
In a sense, then you would be creating your army, because like you're basically turning the right people that you want to be vampires to join your legion.
You can start on one side of the table or the other and not go.
Right.
I love the idea of being able to switch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm this now,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Can you switch back, though?
Can you switch back?
And then that's what Nick brought up, was that maybe, you can choose, to be a vampire hunter in this era or the vampire in this era.
Why should not be the first game that gives you an open world experience and a linear experience in the same package?
Wow.
Where if you can play the linear game and get through it in about 10 to 12 hours, where you don't feel like it's a 6 to 7 hour kind of cheapen experience, but more like a Last of Us, which took me about 8 to 10 hours to really get through and search through that game. But I was just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And then you have... And that's why and you can have two scenarios. Bring in some Resident Evil 2. Like where you had a Leon A and a Leon B. You could have two scenarios on the linear, where you have one as the vampire, one as the vampire hunter, and then you have the other aspect of the game where it's more of the GTA 5 online open world, where you can cross in between and you can set up clans and shit, like it's World of Warcraft.
Right. That's cool.
That's what's so great about it. If you have an idea and you can meet the right guy.
Yeah.
That's why everybody goes 16-bit when they're making these ideas, because it's cheaper. Because like what you're thinking, and if you're thinking PS4 or Xbox One,
I don't know.
It's so expensive.
Right.
But if you do it 16-bit, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out how to like get that visual in your brain to kind of come down.
Yeah, that was one thing that was really cool about the Game On Expo, the convention that just happened, was that there was this company that like created this program called Nest Maker, and it's where it's a way of not having to deal with so much code while making your own game.
You write no code.
Yeah.
If you've never taken a computer class, you can make Nintendo games in a day.
Yeah.
Or at least start.
And so now, like, I'm starting to follow some of the groups and just, like, seeing, like, because the program just got released, like not even a month ago.
Yeah.
And so now I'm watching all these people make their own video games, and it's really interesting to see, like the artwork and, like, the world building that they're doing, and it's really neat, and I think that there's going to be a lot more like independent games because of it that are out there. Now that there's no code involved, like still there's limitations because of like not, like you can only create so many things and.
Yeah, but tell them about the Kickstarter, man. Did you hear about their Kickstarter?
Well, what?
They asked for like $32,000, and they were already done, like developing like what they needed. They just wanted more money so they could keep adding to what they already had, so it was more of a package. They got something like $300,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
They need 32.
Yeah. So it just shows you that
they're gonna keep updating it, and it's like $60 for like the start package, and then like in a year there's probably gonna be a version 2. That's what I'm kind of waiting for.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be bugs.
Well, because the thing is that, like, you could go on the Kickstarter and you could, like, pay so much, and then, like, they give you, like, this cartridge. Like it looks like an old Nintendo cartridge. And actually, it's just pretty much just a USB, where...
Yeah,
or a memory card, you know, like a flash card. That's what it is. And then they have like a little system, and so you just put your flash cartridge in, and then like you can play your game. So if it gets so popular, they could probably make their own system, and then now people can trade their games that they've made.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. So it's like they're kind of surpassing.
And it's just two dudes who had an idea, man. They developed it.
Yeah, and it's really. Yeah, I was the one to tell my brother about it.
They were nice people.
And yeah, they just seem like they got something, and people are really backing it, and I really hope it takes off, because, like, for instance, like, you know, you have this idea, and it's like, you know, I want to make a vampire game, and like, sure, it would be awesome to like make it like this PS4.
Oh yeah,
beautiful game.
Give me the budget.
Yeah,
seriously, man.
But
it'd be kind of neat.
You know, you could create like an 8 to 16-bit version of it, and if it had like enough of a following, then look at GTA. It started out as like, you know, a bird's eye view type of game, and then bam, like, you know, like it got super
you might
popular.
Have to be like Stan Lee by the time you get to see it like in full VR. You're actually the vampire hunter.
I'm like, I'm 80 years old, but they finally made my game.
Oh my god!
Right. You know, but.
I think I'll stick to writing little punk rock tunes.
Yeah, and you're really good at that too.
I have fun with it.
Yeah, no, and man, that's like back in the day when, you know, I can't believe it was 10 years ago. Yeah, you kind of having to fill shoes for, you know, after the Necronauts bass player got kicked out, and like you were just like a perfect fit, and I was like, man, because like, you know, that dude helped like make that band.
Oh yeah,
and so like I was just like, it's gonna be tough to find somebody.
Fundamental dude.
Yeah,
fundamental dude.
And then you came along, and you were just like, you just totally did it. You were like fucking great, and I was like, man, that it couldn't be any better. And then, I think I
too, because we all said it, because we were all like really close to Andy, man, and we were like, Andy's he's fucking special.
Yeah, he is.
Right.
And we watched him and we watched that kid like go through stuff, and he was like our boy.
Yeah.
So, like when we went to the first show and there was no Andy, I remember being like, all right, let's see.
Yeah.
And then like saying hi to Dale and like, what's up, everybody?
Yeah.
And then being like, dude, you didn't miss a beat. Like, what the fuck? This guy, he can play.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ain't. It's not just him. Like,
no, you kept the Necronauts going. Like you.
None of those guys.
Definitely.
Ever.
Have you seen what they're doing now? It's a 2-piece thing.
Yeah. I think that they have more members now, though. I don't know.
They had a keyboard player.
Yeah, and then he left.
Which was cool.
And that was cool. It was different, you know. But, yeah, the last show that I saw, it was just a 2-piece. I didn't know how I felt about it. And then I think that they have a new bass player now. I'm not sure. Wow. So I don't keep in touch with those guys as much as I probably should. But, you know.
We all have our things, right?
Yeah.
Our lives.
You know, man, I grew up pretty quick when, you know, I got hitched, and now I have a 17-year-old stepson.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
Like, so, like, you know, I knew him when he was, like, 14.
Okay.
And so now, like, he's about to turn 18.
What's that like?
And, you know, like, I understand. Like, there's that, you know, he's a teenager. He's got some angst to him, but
it's so weird. Cause you're the fucking partier of parties, and now you're like Papa Dirt.
I know.
So weird.
It is weird, man. Yeah.
Be back by 4 a.m.
Dude, like making sure that he does his homework and like,
oh yeah, that's
you know,
fun. That's fun.
Catching him like staying up too late and being like, what up, man?
Oh,
like, you should be in bed.
Yeah.
And then having to tell his mother, and then, like, you know, having his TV taken away from him and stuff, and you're just like, you know, I'm sorry I ratted on you, but then he goes and rats on me about stuff, so I'm like, well, like, I guess...
I told those girls, I said, don't tell me any secrets, because I'm going to tell your mom, dude. I'm not the cool guy. Dude. Like,
how old are they? Like, there's...
7, 11, and 14.
Wow.
I just bought the 14-year-old a leopard gecko.
Oh.
Yeah.
So now she's got to take care of a pet.
Yeah, and because she's getting good grades.
Oh.
And I was like, you get good grades, you earn.
Yeah.
In this family. You know? You earn.
Yeah.
And the only bummer is, man, we've had it for a week now. And it eats live crickets.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I bought it, is because I wanted to see it eat, and I haven't had a chance to...
Like,
We've
watch
fed
it
it twice so far, and I've missed it both times.
Aww.
So...
That's a bummer.
I know. I can't wait. When the day comes. The day's coming.
Yeah,
when I get to see the carnage.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked.
Watch it feast.
That's all I care about. I just want to see the thing eat.
Yeah.
What if there's a video game where you're a lizard?
Okay.
There was a game. Did you ever play? Huh?
Mr. Mosquito.
Did you ever play this scorpion versus tarantula game?
No.
There was a.
I know the band.
Yeah, I know the band too. Badass band.
They are.
But
cool.
there was a game, and I never got to play it, man. I asked my mom for it too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that, and she's like, whatever, that's stupid. And I was like, all right. You get to be a scorpion or a tarantula and do
scorpion things.
Mortal. You know, things are high stakes when you're a bug.
Makes sense. I remember that there was like kind of a Sims type of game where you're ants.
Deadly creatures.
Deadly creatures.
You get to be a scorpion or a tarantula.
Yeah.
And either one of those is badass.
It's on the Wii.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah.
So somebody could step on you,
dude. Yeah.
And then you're
I guess.
Yeah.
You get reincarnated. I remember being a ball of lightning coming to Earth. The first thing I did was I was an ant.
Interesting.
Don't tell people this in a corporate meeting. I've done this shit. They're like, all right, we're going to go around the room and say a fun fact and how long we've been here. I'm Christopher. I remember being born. The
silence already.
It's not a fucking icebreaker for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just telling the truth.
I was a ball of light.
And I descended to Earth.
And I became
an ant.
Yes. That was my first life.
And then a frog ate me.
And then I
died on the shore of a small pond, and the nutrients enriched a plant. Fish ate that.
Okay.
Eagle came and got it, and I thought I was going to get to be an eagle, but nope. I somehow ended up fertilizer, and then I ended up in a deer that my grandfather shot, and my mother ate a portion of that. And that's where most of my consciousness comes from.
All right. So you were part of a deer.
I was part of the deer's deeper level psyche. Yes.
Okay. So it's almost like being John Malkovich.
No.
Oh.
Wait, is it?
Well, just because that whole movie is about like that. You come to find out that there's like this cult of people
that can be him.
That could be him.
Right.
Well, they search for the next person that they can become.
Oh.
And then once they found out that Cusack controls him, they were like, "Fuck!" And so they end up going to Cusack's wife and trying to figure out a way of getting Cusack out of Malkovich so that they can become Malkovich, so that they can continue to live on forever. They're constantly in search for the vessel. It's a weird movie. Awesome.
I don't know. I think I got the idea of talking about this.
Okay.
from observing Hindu religions.
Okay. And so this was just something that, like, makes sense to you.
It does make sense to me. The Hindu, like the raw, unfiltered, uncorrupted ideology, I guess, from what I've gathered, is God is sleeping, and it has to give up its infinite power and ability to experience the finite in this realm. That's like everything is God.
Yeah.
Right? So you're experiencing reality through your fallible, flawed biomechanic construct. And like even this has a level of consciousness in it because it's vibrating. You can recognize it as a living creature. You can recognize inanimate things. So I don't know if just thinking about that enough, or like just my brain like warping as part of like being an adult has allowed me to think about those things. But I do think about that.
Interesting.
You're God, Dirk.
I am, a part of God.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I don't remember any of my past lives, but
I don't think they're past lives. I think they're just all part of the same thing.
Okay.
Because time is an idea.
It was created by man. Or
yeah, it's a good way to measure events.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as a mortal view. Just like how God could be just something that man created.
A way to explain what we all experience as reality.
Right. That's interesting, man. That's off topic of
that's how it ties into vampires is because we're all one thing.
Okay.
Like in that movie, what was that Kurt Russell film that I love?
The Thing?
The Thing.
Is it that? The Thing's a great movie, man.
It's pretty good. Why isn't that a video game?
It is a video game.
Oh shit. Shut up.
There's a continuation of John Carpenter's The Thing in the video game.
Oh my god.
Really good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
On what platform?
Xbox.
It's on Xbox and PS2, and PC too. It came out for PC, and it's a good game. It's just hard.
Is it on PS4?
No, unless you can download it.
No, it's not. Well, if you're on PS4 now, and it's uploaded to PS4 now, but I don't know. But you have to have PS4 now.
I ain't subscribing to shit.
Yeah.
I might actually. I did sign up for one of those PS.
There is. I just saw a copy of The Thing over there on the original Xbox.
It's a good game.
Yeah. Like I remember playing it for the PS2 and digging it, but there just got to a point in the game where I was just like, I can't fucking
figure it out. If you go back and play it now, the only thing is just that the controls, you're going to be like, oh yeah, man. We've got it so much better now.
Yeah.
So. Oh, I forgot to ask an important question before the podcast started.
Okay.
What do I do when I have to fart?
Just fucking fart, man.
I mean, this microphone's picking up.
Well, I think you gave it away that you need to fart.
Well, I mean, the subject is the idea is definitely in my mind now. So.
All right. Well, I'm just saying.
Is that a good?
That would be a good way to end the episode.
Is that a good note to end on?
That's a toot.
Gas coming out of my body, filling this beautiful store with. Oh, that's.
You've built it up now.
I know. You have to. This is an off-camera death.
Okay. Well, we can end the episode, and then then you can flagellate if you want to. Because I think we've put pressure on you now,
so to speak.
Jesus, that's where you cut it.
All right. Well, yeah, man. I think that's a cool idea for a video game.
Yes.
I dig it, and I can't wait to draw something up for you.
Do it. Build the video game.
Hey, it's only right.
Oh, this is Okay, this reminds me of that cartoon Gargoyles.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome show.
Well,
that's a Man-Bat from Batman the Animated
Oh, that's cool. Man-Bat.
Man-Bat. Yeah, he's a cool character. Scientist.
That is cool.
Turns into a vampire. Or a bat. Not a vampire.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
And just swapping stories, ideas.
I'm gonna go fart in my car alone. With the windows up.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.